And Tuesday's face-off between Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu and a Chief Superintendent of Police has again reignited the debate on the constitutional role of state governors as chief security officers of their states. 24 hours after the governor's intervention on the siege in Magodo estate in Lagos mainland, the police detachment appears to be defying the governor's instruction. Sanwo-Olu gave the directive on Tuesday when he visited the estate amid protests against the continued presence of the armed policemen. The police detachment defied the governor even after explanations that he is the chief security officer of the state.
Please, can you call your superior in Abuja that you need to deactivate and you need to leave Lagos now? Please, can you call your superior in Abuja and tell them that the governor is here and I'm the chief security officer and that you don't have any business being in my state right now and that I want you to disengage forthwith from him.
Thank you very much, sir. Your Excellency, sir. I'm not here on my own orders.
That's why I'm asking you to make a phone call and tell them, your superior, that I'm here standing in front of you. Make that phone call.
Thank you, sir. I'm here on instruction of this Inspector of Police to the AGF, sir. And that is why I'm here. I'm too small or too low to call them. Your Excellency, sir, with due respect, sir, you can call them directly, sir.
So, pressman, don't worry. I'll make 2 phone calls, right? One to the Inspector General of Police and one to the Attorney General.
Well, governors from the southwest are asking Governor Sanwo-Olu to deploy Amotekun to protect the lives and property of the people of Lagos State. The governors condemned what they say is the utter disrespect of the Lagos State governor and blamed it on the impracticability of the federal system of government. The governors say that an arrangement which compels the governor of a state to seek clarifications on security issues in his jurisdiction from extraneous bodies is a recipe for anarchy. They condemned the role being played in the Magodo estate saga by the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, and the Inspector General of Police.
All right, to help us understand the issues and the legal implications of this development, we are now joined from London by Dr. Kayode Ajulo, a legal practitioner and civil rights activist. And right with us also is Frank Tietie, a news analyst who is also a lawyer. They'll be giving us, of course, the legal perspective of all of this. Thank you so much, both of you gentlemen, for joining us. Let me begin with you, Kayode Ajulo. What do you make of, some critics are saying maybe the governor should not have overrated his position as the chief security officer of Lagos State, that situation really would have been or should have been avoided, with that face-off or altercation between himself and the Chief Superintendent of Police. What do you make of all of this and the, outcome?
Thank you very much. To start with, I agree with you too that the situation is avoidable in the sense that if the governor is well guided, and I believe he's misguided, if he's well guided, we wouldn't have found himself in the situation that he finds himself. Yes, the governor may call himself chief security officer of the state, but the governor that what he sought needs to know the chains of command. Even if he must give an order to any subordinate, you must know the hierarchy and who to send such order to. That is first. Then secondly, I think the context within which the governor, the altercation, need to be further interrogated. Interrogated in the sense that this matter started from the High Court to the Court of Appeal, then to Supreme Court. The police you saw there, by the interpretation, by looking at them, you find out that it is to enforce the judgment of the court. And when it comes to enforcement, you can find it under the purview of the Sheriff and the Civil Process Act. And as it is, the team seen there, they are doing what they are empowered by the law, in which the governor of the state even happened to be a party. He is a judgment credit debtor. And in a situation where the governor now wanted to be a judge in his own case, should not be allowed. We'll be talking of executive lawlessness what happened, what transpired. It is one of it. The governor should not have used emotion to be clear the sense of judgment, and that is why he finds himself in that situation. As it is expected that what the governor should do with his oath of office is to ensure that justice is done, to ensure that the law of the land is upheld at all times, irrespective of the party involved. Judgment creditor, he planned to execute judgment of the court, and for a party to stand to stifle that enforcement amounts to a travesty of justice. And good enough, the governor has immunity. If not, we should be talking of contempt of court, because that is exactly what is happening. I know many people, we talked about the issue that he is there to ensure to stop, maybe there may be breakdown to ensure breakdown of law and order. But one thing is so clear: a simple court judgment ought to be obeyed without even taking recourse to enforcement of enforcement of that, enforcement and execution of the court judgment. But unfortunately, I want to say our governors, particularly those who are saddled with such responsibility, need to exercise restraint and to ensure that the law at all times is upheld at all times, and they should ensure justice.
All right, Dr. Ajulo, thanks very much. Let me bring in Frank Tietie now. Frank, do you think, like Ajulo said, that the governor of Lagos State is being excessive or reckless in his intervention there, particularly when you underscore the action, the Magodo situation, against the constitutional overlaps of, first, the executive function of the governor as a chief security officer of a state, to the function of the inspector general of police, and the other subordinates in that matter. How do you underscore all of these scenarios?
All right, thank you very much, and my love and respect to my friend Dr. Kayode Ajulo. The truth about it is that first and foremost, we should commend the governor of Lagos State for rising up to his constitutional responsibility. First consideration is this: the governor has a constitutional responsibility to give directives to a commissioner of police in his state, and in this case, the governor did more than that by responding timeously to an emergency call from his residents. So the governor deserves commendation. Again, you must understand this. First, if you look at the provisions establishing the police in the Nigerian Constitution, particularly sections 215 and subsection 3 and 4, there's a reference to a minister. The minister is not the Attorney General of the Federation or the Minister of Justice. It is that we have a functional Minister of Police Affairs in the cabinet. It is that minister that is presumably referred to in the Constitution. And in a state where a governor, with regards to the control of police, understandably, the section 215 subsection 3 gives the powers to control Nigerian police to the president, giving lawful orders to the Inspector General of Police. In addition to that, within a state, a governor, by provisions of subsection 4, can give lawful orders to a commissioner of police for the purpose of ensuring public safety and public order. And that's what the governor has done. The governor has seen, because Lagos had been the epicenter of a very terrible riots that we had witnessed, the governor responded so swiftly. And that's my point of commendation. In addition to that, why would the Inspector General of Police deploy his Chief Superintendent of Police to Lagos State, where there is a resident Commissioner of Police that should take orders not necessarily from the Inspector General of Police, but from the governor? Because if you look at the wordings of subsection 4 of section 215 of the Constitution, whenever a governor gives order to the Commissioner of Police, if a lawful order for that matter, if the Commissioner of Police has any doubt about that order, he does not refer to the IG. He simply requests the governor to call the minister in charge of police affairs or the president. So what we see here is a sort of, it appears to me, a deliberate attempt to cause confusion in Lagos State. I don't also go to the provisions of the Sheriff and Civil Process Act and raise the question, which court is supposed to enforce the judgment of the Supreme Court? You see, I'll close by saying that winning a case is a different thing entirely from enforcing the order of a court. It's a different thing entirely, and that is the process that we are dealing with. The police shouldn't be the ones answering the governor. It is the sheriff.
Okay.
All right. I think let's keep our anchor there and go on a short break for some messages. When we return, we'll continue with the discussion. Stay with us.
All right, thanks for staying with us. You're still watching Newsnight, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. Our guests are still Dr. Kayode Ajulo, a lawyer, joining us all the way from London, and Frank Tietie, also a lawyer, Rise News analyst. Thank you both, gentlemen, for bearing with us. Tietie, let me come to you very quickly before we, go back to Kayode Ajulo. This response, of the Chief Superintendent of Police to the governor, some are saying, including the Southwest governors, they're saying it shows beyond doubt the impracticability of the current system, dubiously, quoting them now, dubiously called federalism. Raises fundamental questions, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I was on set a few days ago where I referred to how pitiable the conditions of governors are with regards to security, maintenance of security in their states, with particular reference to Governor Masari, who had called on his citizens, throwing arms in the air to now take up arms to do some form of self-defense. Governors are actually very impotent when it comes to controlling police in their states, and that's the reality. And it's unfortunate that many governors do spend a lot of money, state money, to maintain the police, whereas they can't really control the police. The most pitiable thing about it is that these are persons who gave you political power. They voted you into power, and then for one reason or the other, you lack the power to organize reasonable security force to maintain peace and order in your state. Nothing can be more pitiable, and that's the condition of governors. And it exposes, and we should celebrate what has happened in Lagos, and because it exposes this unspoken fault in our federal structure, where we actually run a unitary system where where Abuja controls everywhere, and it doesn't control it very well, because you have less than 500,000 policemen, policing over 205 million Nigerians. That's not tenable and possible.
All right, that's not tenable and possible. Then let's look at other possibilities. I'm coming to you, Dr. Ajulo, where the federal government today gazetted a high court judgment declaring bandits as terrorists. Some people may want to argue that what's really the difference? Bandits, terrorists, kidnappers, and the rest, they all commit heinous crimes against the people. But how significant is this declaration? That's
Dr.
to you.
Ajulo, that question was for you.
Dr. Ajulo, are you there with us? Can you hear us?
Yes. We need to know one thing. I think the federal government has done the needful, and this is the operation of law in a situation where, since last year, the judgment, the order by my Lord Justice Sanwo-Olu has already asked that it should be done. And I believe if they are doing it now, I think all we need to do is to say, so be it. I don't think there's much to be celebrated to see that the needful is done. And that is the way we should view it. The issue of insurgency, this issue of terrorists is something that has to be tackled. And this is the beginning of first by gazetting it and to ensure that this set of people. But one question I've been asking myself is this: what is their name? How can they be identified? The identification needs to be so certain. We need to know what it is. When IPOB was done, it was well delineated, it was well couched, and they have the identity. But the one that so gazetted, maybe until when one should go through the gazette to know who and who, how is it delineated, how is being couched to know who and who are being gazetted as terrorists. And now to the other issue that we are discussing earlier. The question I want us to know is that there should be this issue of Lagos yesterday should be isolated, in the sense that this is enforcement of court judgment in way the governor is a party, and a situation where a party is trying to stifle that enforcement of that judgment is what I believe we need to condemn. The sheriff and civil process are so clear. And even the Constitution, Section 287, subsection 1 and 3, explain how the judgment of the court should be enforced. Even that provision enjoined everybody. All must ensure that it must be enforced. So in a situation where it is not enforced, and that's why I mentioned the issue of change of command. The governor who to have identified the chain of command there, but to go and approach a CSP doing his job and asking him to vacate. It's, at least he got there by function of law. And I believe that is the way the governor who to have used it, not that you should come and so order. I think we should leave that this, we should do that. That is I believe, to be what we should gain from it. Thank you.
Okay, great. We have less than a minute. Frank Tietie, I'm sure you'd want to respond to that very quickly in 30 seconds if you can. But how much difference? I mean, what's in a name?
Like a whole lot of difference. You know, this is there's a connection between in international law here. Because you have terrorism is an international crime. It's against banditry, which simply tends to measure whether a country is a failed state or not. But again, there are certain agreements that have been reached at international level because Nigeria has relied so much on foreign powers for the equipment, for the jets that are used for, in this case, the Super Tucano jet. Such jets, under certain agreements, which I am yet to confirm, demand that they should be applied only with regards to crimes of the nature of terrorism. So you don't run around bombing people who are bandits, whereas they are not really terrorists. So I think it has a very serious significance when it comes to human rights and international humanitarian law and general international law.
All right, thanks so very much. No better place to drop it there. Frank Tietie, Arise analyst, and Dr. Kayode Ajulo in London there for adding a lot of verve to these discourses.